The Chicago Bulls took a loss yesterday versus the Boston Celtics, 122 to 100 in a game that never really seemed like it was close. But on today's episode, we're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls receiving a glimpse of what life will be like if they were to trade Zach Lavine away. Then I have a teaching moment that came within the game from last night versus the Boston Celtics for Matas Buzelis. Y'all know we gonna talk about it all, break it down, but you already know you gotta hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another daily episode right here on Shy Boys Podcast. If you tuned in with me today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell as well. Now, as previously mentioned, the Chicago Bulls faced off versus the Boston Celtics last night without Zach Lavine and took a beatdown 122 to 100 versus the Boston Celtics. And I'm here to let you all know this right here for the Chicago Bulls. They got a glimpse of what life will be like without Zach Lavine. Now, if you're wondering where the hell Zach Lavine was at, Zach Lavine is not injured. Zach Lavine is handling personal business with him and his family as they are expecting another child. So he took a leave of absence from the Chicago Bulls to tend to his lady, his wife, his confidant, his person, to go ahead and tend to her getting ready to deliver another family member for his family. And the reason I'm saying that this is a glimpse of what life will be like is solely based on all the trade talk surrounding Zach Lavine and the Chicago Bulls and other teams around the league. We're hearing the Golden State Warriors are interested again. We've heard that the Phoenix Suns have been interested. We've heard that the Sacramento Kings might be interested with a De'Aaron Fox swap. Don't necessarily think that's something that's going to happen, but we've heard a number of rumors that has placed Zach Lavine in trade talks from the Chicago Bulls to whatever said team is out there, to where we heard those rumors. Now, when we talk about yesterday, it was never really close. It was never really a ball game. The Bulls tried to fight. I went into the game yesterday saying that Kobe White needs to have 25 points at a minimum to go ahead and give the Chicago Bulls a chance. Kobe White has 16 points, y'all. I said that if the Chicago Bulls want to win, they have to give Nikola Vucevic an opportunity to be the player that he is. Nikola Vucevic scored 6 points, y'all. 6 points. Totally unacceptable. So, on this episode, we're talking about the Chicago Bulls receiving a glimpse of what life will be like without Zach Lavine. We look at the team as a whole. These guys fell down to like 10-0 at the start of the game. They had no energy. There was not enough offense out there for the Chicago Bulls to keep up with the likes of a Kristaps Porzingis, who put up 20-plus points in the first half. It simply just wasn't good enough offensively for the Chicago Bulls. And then you're talking about I got to contain Jason Tatum. I got to deal with Jaylen Brown. I got to deal with 3-and-D specialists like Derek White and Drew Holiday, guys coming off the bench and Peyton Pritchard, and another young fella that Patrick Williams never really could take advantage of in Shepard. Yeah, tall task to handle when you don't have the best player on the team that can give you 40 on any given night. So we looked at the energy, we looked at the offense, and it just wasn't enough to contend with the reigning NBA champions. There were a bunch of turnovers. We understand that the Chicago Bulls probably didn't have an astronomical number in turnovers, but when you talk about the turnover battles between both teams, you got the Chicago Bulls in the turnover battle, turning the ball over 15 times versus the Boston Celtics 8. Points off turnovers, that's a different type of subject that we'll have to get into. But I would imagine that these guys were able to dominate in points off of turnovers simply because the Chicago Bulls just couldn't get back on defense. They just couldn't. The Chicago Bulls, they're not good enough to compete with these said teams like a Boston Celtics without Zach Lavine. Now, if you're talking to me and you saying that, hey, we just seen the Chicago Bulls beat the Denver Nuggets, let's add in the best player on the team and say that Zach Lavine had an outstanding game versus the Denver Nuggets, and he was able to go out there and do everything necessary that the Chicago Bulls needed to win the game. There was no Zach Lavine out there. There was not much help out there, especially when Zach Lavine is missing and the young Chicago Bulls players failed to find Nikola Vucevic on several occasions. On several occasions. We're talking about when Nikola Vucevic had Jaylen Brown switched on him, Derek White switched on him, Drew Holiday switched on him, Peyton Pritchard be switched on him. He only ended the game with 6 freaking points. Just not good enough. And when we talk about the 3-point shooting from the Chicago Bulls, we talk about the formula. The formula for the Chicago Bulls to win any said basketball games, whether that is versus the top teams of the East and the top teams in the West versus the bottom teams of the West and the bottom teams of the East. We've seen all season that the Chicago Bulls typically go out there and play up or down to their competition. And the formula is simply take care of the basketball, knock down your 3-point shots. You're not winning many basketball games when you lose the 3-point shooting battle versus the Boston Celtics when you shoot 30% from the 3 and the Boston Celtics shoots 40% from the 3. You're not winning many games with that. You're not. We simply have to be better in getting guys opportunities, and guys have to understand that the formula is taking care of the basketball and knocking down 3-point shots. Can you add some caveats in there? Absolutely. We look at some caveats as being, or at least for me, some caveats as being the 3-point shot not falling, attack the fucking basket. But it's simple basketball, right? It's simple basketball. The way that I look at it, if your shot not falling beyond the 3-point line, my mind as a hooper, when I do hoop, I don't hoop too often, but when I do hoop, 3-point shot not falling, attack the basket. These are professionals. But for some reason, the shot not falling, they keep shooting. They don't attack the basket much. Maybe it takes them a whole entire half to get it together. And then maybe in the second half, you will see guys attacking the basket then. But from watching the Chicago Bulls as of late, the second half to start to attack the basket, typically in certain games, it's too late. It's too late. How about we start the game out by seeing a couple easy baskets go in with layups, putbacks, floaters, things like that at the rim? How about we sit there and watch the game go from inside out? Right now, the Chicago Bulls play outside in. Hence why their defense is bad. Hence why they can't knock down enough shots against certain teams, whether they're good or bad. Hence why we see porous defense, long rebounds being grabbed by the opposing teams. We see those things. A lot of us don't like to really consider it. We look at Billy Donovan, we look at the players, but all that stuff is intertwined, in my personal opinion. The coach is not getting his guys ready. The coach is not making good adjustments. The coach is not holding guys accountable for saying, hey, enough is enough for the three-point shot. Attack the fucking basket. And then we look at players and say, hey, y'all not executing. I seen many games to where Patrick Williams sit there. You got easy putbacks, layups, dunks, whatever at the basket. You don't do anything. You don't do shit. And the same thing can be said for guys like Kobe White. The same thing can be said for guys like Ayo Dosunmu. And I'm not saying these guys are totally terrible, because I like most of these players on the Chicago Bulls. But it's, for me personally, it takes too long for guys to get out of that mindset of, this is the game plan, this is how we're going to move forward. Guys should have the basketball IQ to say, hell, enough is enough. I've shot Kobe White. I've taken 3 threes already, and all of them been off the off the rim. Let me attack the basket now. And then see if you go in now and now start to move inside out. That's the type of things I see the Chicago Bulls struggling with. And that's the things that ticks me the hell off. The bad three-point shooting has affected the Chicago Bulls to a point to where you see the Chicago Bulls do certain things and you just wonder, like, okay, the three-point shot is not working, guys. What the hell is next? So we have to be better in that regard. And some of us want to trade Zach Lavine. Hell, I've been on record for saying, hey, if the deal makes sense, send him on his way. Give him an opportunity to go play winning basketball somewhere else. I've been on record saying that, and I still stand by that. I do. But if there's no solution to fix what you have already, you are going to miss Zach Lavine whenever he's out of the basketball game. That can be coaching. That could be player personnel. That could be limitations with the roster. That could be a number of things. It really can be. So the Chicago Bulls got a glimpse of what it will look like without Zach Lavine. The guy that can come out there and give you buckets, who can go off for 40 on any given night. I told y'all at the start of this episode right here, I call for Kobe White to have 25 minimum. What Kobe White give me? What did Kobe White give me, guys? Kobe White got me 16 points. He did. You're 9 points short of the 25-point minimum to give the Chicago Bulls an opportunity to win the game. You didn't feed Vooch. Kobe White didn't show up. Matas Buzelis, he struggled a bit. It wasn't just enough. It just wasn't enough. So the Chicago Bulls, they will have decisions to make. They will have things to think about. I am not sitting up here pounding the table saying that you cannot trade Zach Lavine. I am not doing that. I'm saying if you trade Zach Lavine, it better be for something or someone or hell, some people that gives the Chicago Bulls a better chance to win moving forward. It doesn't necessarily have to result in wins this season, but it has to provide the Chicago Bulls with a clear vision for the future if you move off Zach Lavine. That's all I'm saying. You don't trade Zach Lavine for pennies on the dollar and a pack of annihilators. You don't trade Zach Lavine for a couple dry erase markers and a second round pick. You don't do that. You trade Zach Lavine for Jonathan Kuminga. You trade Zach Lavine for a young player that gives you something. That's the only point. That's all I'm saying. He doesn't necessarily have to be untouchable. He doesn't. He doesn't have to be untouchable. But if you execute a deal, it better make sense. Otherwise, you'll be a hamster on a rolling wheel going in circles because you just can't figure it out. Figure it out, front office. Figure it out, Billy Donovan. Figure it out, Arturas Karnisova. Where the hell is Mark Eversley? I don't know. We'll find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z, I guess. We'll find out. But hey, now moving on to the last topic of today's episode. Matas Buzelis got a moment to where he can learn from in yesterday's matchup versus the Boston Celtics. I've been on record to call for more minutes for Matas Buzelis. But yesterday was a perfect example of Billy Donovan. Teach this young fella how to be an NBA player. Perfect example. Billy Donovan came into the season saying that Matas Buzelis has to earn his minutes. Matas Buzelis has to be a professional. Matas Buzelis has to find out his role within the Chicago Bulls so he can go out there and be able to be a productive player for the Chicago Bulls. We've heard everything. He's not a winning player yet. We heard everything. What I'm coming to you all and saying is that in yesterday, where Matas Buzelis picked up 3 fouls in 8 minutes, was a perfect teaching moment for Matas. The perfect teaching moment for Matas. These are the type of moments I want Matas Buzelis to go through so he can form himself into being a star. I don't want Matas Buzelis to be a role player. I expect and want Matas Buzelis to be a star. I do. Now, if we saying star and then the next level is superstar, we'll have that discussion when it's time to have that discussion. But at the moment, this kid was expected to go in the top 5. He slid to 11, y'all. The Bulls got him, y'all. And we just want to see him grow, right? We just want to see Matas Buzelis grow, right? So I'm saying yesterday in a game to what Matas Buzelis played 8 minutes and he got 3 fouls. That was a great coaching moment for Billy Donovan and all his nonsense to go ahead and coach up his young player and let him know, hey, gang, I understand you want to be aggressive. You want to block shots, but you got to know when to be aggressive and how to be aggressive in the game of basketball. Otherwise, in the first half, if you pick up 3 fouls, I can't play you that much, big dog. I can't. That's a teaching moment. Because Billy Donovan, if you're trying to feed me some bullshit saying that he still has to learn, he still has to earn his minutes, he still has to be a winning player. Baloney. I don't want to hear that. For the simple fact of, y'all ain't practicing that much during this season at this point of the season. Yeah, how the hell Buzelis going to earn his minutes at this point of the game? How? at this point of the season? How? So the only way that I'm looking at it is that Matas Buzelis has to earn his minutes, earn his right to play on the basketball court. It's through NBA action at this point of the season. You're not practicing that much. So it has to come in NBA action, right? It does. So this was a great teaching moment for Matas Buzelis that you cannot have 3,008 minutes in an NBA game if you want to be a star. Now, granted, though these type of things does happen. We've seen it with the best of them. Let's act like it has not happened. It has. We've seen it with Steph. We've seen it with Bron, AD, KD, a number of other players. Even if you want to go back and forth, we've seen this happen before. For sure. We've seen it happen before. But we need Matas to understand that we want you to be aggressive, but we don't need you to be stupid. That's how it comes down. We want you to be aggressive, but we don't need you to be stupid. These type of things happen all the time. How will you bounce back? We're going to sit you down for a couple minutes. We're going to insert you at this point of the game, whatever that point of the game it is, because Matas Buzelis is still coming off the bench, and we need you to be effective. Now, those were 3,008 minutes. Matas Buzelis end up playing 22 minutes. But I say it's a great learning moment because Matas Buzelis does not need to be finding himself in these type of situations right now, in my opinion. Sometimes these things will happen. He's a rookie. We understand that. But we need him to understand we need him to ascend upward in a great trajectory. We're not talking about going up, falling down, going up, falling down, going up. We understand that bad games happen. Me and C-Dub, we understand that over here on Shabu's podcast. But right now, as a rookie, for the next 2 seasons, including the rest of this one, we need to see this. Yeah, it might be a couple dips, but it need to be shallow dips. We need to be making higher highs for my people that go out there and invest. We need to be creating new highs. We need to be creating new all-time highs for my people that invest. If you ain't following, I'm sorry, but this is how we're going to go ahead and create that analogy. We need Matas Buzelis to be solid. Don't go out there and make dumb mistakes. Now, credit to the young fella. After those 3,008 minutes, my guy came out and played 22 total minutes, had 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from the 3, for a total of 12 points and 1 block. We'll live with it. But in this game like this, Matas Buzelis, in my personal opinion, should have had about 18 points. It's a bit over. It's a bit too much. But I really believe that if Matas Buzelis doesn't get himself in that type of foul trouble, he'll have 18 to 20 points. Me personally. You can disagree if you want. Cool, fine. If you agree, kudos to you. Cool, fine. He just has to be better. But I think that this is a great teaching moment in game for Billy Donovan to coach up his young star. This is how Billy Donovan, in my personal opinion, should be attacking the Matas Buzelis development task. Play him. You go out there, you get 3,008 minutes. We're going to pull you on the bench. We're going to holler at you. We're going to put you back out there for some more minutes, and we're going to have a talk with you. You in the game, you're not sliding your feet or you're missing assignment on the defensive end, we're going to pull you out, have a conversation with you, put you back out on the court. Hope that you don't make the same mistake twice. Cool. I'm all for that. All right. We need you to shoot that damn 3. You being a little bit hesitant. You being a little passive. We don't want you to creep into passive P territory. Let's have this conversation. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get this shit together. You're going to go back out there. And once you got that wide open 3, you're going to at least attempt it. You're going to at least attempt it. And now show him love because on today's game, he hit 2 threes. You know what I'm saying? But he hit 2 threes. So we'll show love for that. But these are the moments to where Billy Donovan should be utilizing them to go ahead and hit and coach up Matas Buzelis so he can be better and be the star that we know he can be. This should not be another bust. Matas Buzelis should not be a bust. With the mindset that he has, the athleticism that he has, and the talent that he has, Matas Buzelis should be the next star in Chicago. It's really that simple. The talent he has, the mindset he has, the skill that he has, Matas Buzelis absolutely should be the next star in Chicago. We had Mike, we had D Rose, we had a little bit of Jimmy Butler, Zach Lavine. Matas Buzelis is up next. It should be that way if the Bulls don't fuck this up. All facts. But that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode. Before you get up out of here, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Our voice line is open, so if you want to be a part of the mailbag episode, that is totally up to you guys. Make sure you go ahead and call, state your name, leave your take, and let us know how you feeling about the Chicago Bulls. The number to do so is 773-242-9219. Thank y'all so much. Make sure you always see red, and you already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.